And thus do we send it down as plain proofs, and God guides whom He wills. Chapter 22, verse 16. Salamu alaikum. This video is based on key insights from the excellent work by Sam Gerrans titled The Qur'an, A Complete Revelation, which can be downloaded for free from Qur'anite.com, and from my upcoming book, Means of Insight, Theology of the Qur'an. The subject of the nature of guidance, like the subject of suffering, is beyond our comprehension. We have no conception of God save what knowledge He has given us. God proclaims in the Qur'an that He guides whom He wills. No messenger or prophet can guide. No priest, sheikh, or rabbi can guide. Only God guides, and He guides through the Qur'an. Having said that, the Qur'an does give us some glimpse into the nature of guidance, which I have compiled for you. God does not guide the wantonly perfidious. Those who declare null the pledge of God after its agreement, and sever what God commanded thereby to be joined, and create corruption in the earth, these are the losers. Chapter 2, verse 27. Ask thou forgiveness for them, or ask thou not forgiveness for them, it will make no difference. If thou ask forgiveness for them 70 times, God will not forgive them, because they denied God and His messenger, and God guides not the wantonly perfidious people. Chapter 9, verse 80. God's revelations are the only source of guidance. And when we gave Musa the law and the division, that you might be rightly guided. Chapter 2, verse 53. This is a manifest fact for mankind, and guidance, and an exhortation for those of prudent fear. Chapter 3, verse 138. He said, Get you down from it altogether, an enemy to one another. Then if there comes to you guidance from me, whoso follows my guidance, he will neither go astray, nor will he be distressed. Chapter 20, verse 123. God's proofs are plain to those who are certain. And those who know not say, Oh, that God would but speak to us, or a proof but come to us. Thus said those before them likewise. Their hearts are similar. We have made plain the proofs for people who are certain. Chapter 2, verse 118. God's guidance is a favor. They think it a favor to thee that they submit. Say thou, think not your submission a favor to me. The truth is, God favors you, that He guides you to faith if you be truthful. Chapter 49, verse 17. God does not guide the wrongdoing people. Hast thou not considered the one who disputed with Ibrahim concerning his Lord, since God had given him dominion? When Ibrahim said, My Lord is he who gives life and gives death, he said, I give life and give death. Ibrahim said, God brings the sun from the east, so bring thou it from the west. Then was the one indifferent to warning lost for words, and God guides not the wrongdoing people, so be not among them. Chapter 2, verse 258. God strengthens those who heed warning with a firm word concerning the life of this world and concerning the hereafter, and God sends the wrongdoers astray, and God does what He wills. Chapter 14, verse 27. Thus do we insert it in the hearts of the evildoers. They believe not in it, and the practice of the former peoples has come and gone. Chapter 15, verses 12 and 13. God guides and sends astray whom He wills. And those who repudiate our proofs are deaf and dumb in darkness. Whom God wills, He leads astray, and whom He wills, He sets on a straight path. Chapter 6, verse 39. And whom God wills to guide, He expands His breast towards submission. And whom He wills to lead astray, He makes His breast constricted, distressed, as if He were ascending into the sky. Thus does God appoint abomination for those who do not believe. Chapter 6, verse 125. Whom God guides, he is rightly guided. And whom God sends astray, these are the losers. Whom God sends astray, there is no guide for him, and he leaves them wandering blindly in their inordinacy. Chapter 7, verse 178, chapter 7, verse 186. Obedience are prerequisite for guidance. And had we decreed for them, Kill yourselves or go forth from your homes, there would have done it only a few among them. And had they done what they were exhorted, it would have been better for them, and a stronger confirmation. And then would we have given them from ourselves a tremendous reward. and guided them to a straight path. Chapter 4, verses 66 to 68. Because God does not change the grace he bestows upon a people until they change what is in their souls, and because God is hearing, knowing. Chapter 8, verse 53. God sends astray the waverers. Why should you be divided concerning the waverers when God turned them back for what they earned? Seek you to guide him whom God has sent astray? And he whom God sends astray, for him thou canst not find a way. Chapter 4, verse 88. And among them is he who made a pledge to God. If he gives us of his bounty, we will give charity and be of the righteous. Then when he gave them of his bounty, they withheld it and turned away, and they were disinclined. And he requited them with wavering in their hearts to the day they meet him, because they broke to God what they promised him, and because they lied. Chapter 9, verses 76 and 77. God does not guide the indifferent to warning. Those who are indifferent to warning and do wrong, God has not forgiven them, nor will he guide them to a road, save the road to hell, they abiding eternally therein forever. And that is easy for God. Chapter 4, verse 168 and 169. Those who reject God's revelations out of hand are not guided. Those are the cities, some of whose reports we narrate to thee, and their messengers had come to them with clear evidence, but they were not to believe in what they had rejected before. Thus does God seal the hearts of those who spurn guidance while claiming virtue. And we found not for most of them any pledge, but we found most of them wantonly perfidious. Chapter 7, verses 101 and 102. Then after him raised we up messengers to their people. They brought them clear evidence, but they were not to believe in what they had repudiated before. Thus do we place a seal upon the hearts of the transgressors. Chapter 10, verse 74. And the day we gather from every community a host of those who repudiate our proofs, then will they be marshaled. When they have come, he will say, Did you repudiate my proofs when you had not encompassed them in knowledge? Or what was it that you did? Chapter 27, verses 83 and 84. God guides those in whom there is good. O prophet, say thou to those captives who are in your hands, if God knows any good in your hearts, he will give you better than what he has taken from you, and he will forgive you. And God is forgiving, merciful. Chapter 8, verse 70. And had God known any good in them, he would have made them hear. And had he made them hear, they would have turned away, and they are disinclined. Chapter 8, verse 23. Those who heed warning and do good are guided. O mankind, now has evidence come to you from your Lord, and we have sent down to you a clear light. Then as for those who believe in God and hold fast to him, he will make them enter into mercy and bounty from him, and he guides them to him by a straight path. Chapter 4, verses 174 and 175. Those who heed warning and do deeds of righteousness, their Lord guides them by their faith. There will flow beneath them rivers in the gardens of bliss. Chapter 10, verse 9. And God increases in guidance those who follow right guidance, and the righteous deeds which endure are better in the sight of thy Lord as reward, and better as recourse. Chapter 19, verse 76. And those who strive for us, we guide them to our paths, and God is with the doers of good. Chapter 29, verse 69. Only God can guide. Say thou, is there among your partners one that guides to the truth? Say thou, God guides to the truth. Does then he who guides to the truth have more right to be followed? Or he who guides not save he be guided? Then what ails you? How judge you? Chapter 10, verse 35. Upon us is the guidance. Chapter 92, verse 12. Those who do not use reason are not guided. And had thy Lord willed, whoso is in the earth would have believed altogether. Wouldst thou compel mankind to believe? And it is for a soul to believe only by God's leave, and he has appointed abomination for those who do not reason. Chapter 10, verses 99 and 100. Almost bursting with rage, whenever a host is cast therein, the keepers thereof ask them, Came there not to you a warner? They will say, Verily, a warner came to us, but we rejected and said, God has not sent down anything, you are only in great error. And they will say, had we listened or used reason, we would not be among the companions of the inferno. Chapter 67, verses 8 and 10. God guides him who repents. And those who are indifferent to warning say, oh, that a proof were but sent down upon him from his Lord. Say thou, God leads astray whom he wills, and guides to him such as turn back. Chapter 13, verse 27. He set down for you of doctrine what he enjoined upon Nuh, and which we have instructed thee, and what we enjoined upon Ibrahim, and Musa, and Isa. Uphold the doctrine, and be not divided therein. Difficult for the idolaters is that to which thou invitest them. God chooses for himself whom he wills, and guides to himself him who turns in repentance. Chapter 42, verse 13. God does not guide those who are spurn guidance while claiming virtue. Hast thou not considered that we send the shaitans upon those who spurn guidance while claiming virtue, inciting them onwards? Chapter 19, verse 83. Lest the soul say, how I regret that I was remiss in what is due to God, and was among those who deride. Or it say, had God guided me, I would have been among those of prudent fear. Or it say, when it sees the punishment, were I to return, I would be among the doers of good. Verily, my proofs came to thee, then didst thou repudiate them, and wast proud, and wast among those who spurn guidance while claiming virtue. Chapter 39, verses 56 to 59. Those upon whom the word of God has become binding will not believe. And had we willed, we would have given every soul its guidance. But the word from me is binding. I will fill hell with jinn and mankind all together. So taste, because you forgot the meeting of this your day, we forgot you. And taste the punishment of eternity because of what you did. Chapter 32, verses 13 and 14. Binding is become the word upon most of them, for they do not believe. We will place yokes on their necks, and these up to the chins, and they with heads forced high. And we will make a barrier before them, and a barrier behind them, and cover them, so that they see not. And it is the same to them whether thou warnest them, or thou hast not warned them. They do not believe. Chapter 36, verses 7 through 10. God does not guide the committers of excess and liars. And there said a believing man of the house of Pharaoh who concealed his faith, would you kill a man because he says, my Lord is God, and has brought you clear evidence from your Lord? If he be lying, upon him be his lie. And if he be truthful, some of that which he promises you will befall you. God guides not him who is a committer of excess, a teller of lies. Chapter 40, verse 28. God does not guide the proud. Those who dispute concerning the proofs of God without any warrant having come to them, a great abomination is it in the sight of God and in the sight of those who heed warning. Thus does God seal every proud, tyrannical heart. Chapter 40, verse 35. Say thou, have you considered, if it be from God, and you deny it? And a witness bore witness among the children of Israel to the like thereof, and he believed, when you are proud, then are you wrongdoers. God guides not the wrongdoing people. Chapter 46, verse 10. Those who forget God are not guided. And he who is blind to the remembrance of the Almighty, we assign to him a shaitan, and he is to him an intimate companion. And they divert them from the way, and they think that they are rightly guided. Chapter 43, verses 36 and 37. Those who are hostile to God's messengers are not guided. And whoso is hostile towards the messenger, after the guidance has become clear to him, and follows other than the way of the believers, we will turn him to that which he turns, and burn him in hell, and evil it is at a journey's end. Chapter 4, verse 115. This concludes my presentation on the subject of guidance in the Qur'an. I have omitted many other verses to save time, but they will be included in my book, God willing. May God guide you to his straight path. Speak the truth and be just. Peace and blessings.